Hey, what's up you awesome dudes, welcome back to No Man's Sky. So it seems that there's a brand new patch in the works and it's currently available on the experimental branch. If you're a Steam user, you can go ahead and download it right now. I'm also going to post a link in the description box where you can read up all of the details as well as all of the precaution measures that you need to take before installing it. As I've said, the patch itself is pretty big, it contains a lot of very good fixes. I'm only going to name the more important ones so we don't waste too much time. But I hope you all sit comfy in your chairs and let's get started. Coming up first, we have probably the most important change of them all, and that is of course the newly added user permissions for multiplayer. A lot of you have been complaining in the past month or so about griefers plaguing your online sessions. Well, it seems that Hello Games has taken note of that and added a ton of new options to better customize your lobbies. If you go under the network and voice menu, on top of the already existing network play and voice chat options, you will see more than a handful of new ones that control a lot of your online stuff. So you will have options for text chat, damage to players, adding or deleting base parts, as well as showing markers for ship and on-foot controls. Basically, it will let you have it the way you want it. If you at any point got attacked by somebody, you will be able to completely turn that off. You'll also be able to finally turn off the possibility for other players to edit your existing base, and there are so many options over here. You can even set them for the entire lobby or only for certain people. For example, you can turn on a feature to only be available to your friends only or to nobody at all. Nonetheless, this should definitely fix most of your issues that you had with online griefing. Moving on, we have improved terrain edit saving system and reducing the chances of terrain regenerating. This is something that affected a lot of people, especially those who typically built their base underground. There's a bug currently in the game that makes it so that edited terrain gets regenerated upon coming back in the system you were on. This is especially frustrating to those who tend to build their bases underground, as it can completely ruin them. Nonetheless, this system is still a work in progress, so keep that in mind. There still might be problems with that even after this patch, but at the very least there's something done in this regard. Moving on, we have improved visuals of player starship trails. This is a problem you probably saw in a previous video of mine where my exotic ship would have trails all pointing in different directions. Hopefully this is what addresses it. If not, well, it pretty much sucks, but I'm pretty sure it should be, and I'm glad to have it. Moving on, we have newly added archaeology missions that are available from planetary NPCs. This will bring a little bit more diversity when doing all of those annoying secondary missions, and it should definitely be helpful to you if you tend to do them a lot. There's also a couple of very good fixes to a bug that exists in the game for a very long time. Of course, I'm talking about the bug that prevents players with large save files from saving, as well as the one that prevented save games from loading. Basically, if you were unaware, after playing for a certain amount of time, save files kinda tended to get corrupted and increasing in size drastically, making it so that the game wouldn't recognize them anymore and you wouldn't be able to save on top of them or even load them. I'm really hoping that this patch finally addresses this issue because it's probably the most annoying one I've seen so far in any video game whatsoever. Another very good one fixes a number of issues that could cause mission markers to be attached to the wrong destination. I had this, probably a lot of you also had, and there are plenty of secondary missions that point you towards a wrong destination. I think there are even some main storyline missions that have this problem, so hopefully this fixes that entirely. Moving on, we have fixed a number of issues around the refiner and general inventory systems, improved the pick and drop system of inventory management, and I'm pretty sure that if I read this correctly, this means that the dupe glitch using the refiner method is pretty much now done, and it's pretty much dead. You won't be able to do it anymore in the new patch. I have tested it out even in the current one and I was not able to do it. So Hello Games, as the time went by, tried fixing this over and over again. I think this should be pretty much, done, because I don't really see a way to recover from this. So if you are still doing that method, if you still want to get stuff from it, then this is your best chance to do it. Do it before the patch goes live because this is your last chance. Nonetheless, I am beyond happy that annoying glitch is finally getting a fix. There are plenty of other fixes for visual glitches, such as for example the one for clouds at high resolutions, fixed occasional crash in geometry streaming when exiting planet atmosphere. I think this was one that plagued my game for quite some time. I keep getting, a lot of stuttering and even crashes at times, especially when entering or exiting an atmosphere. pretty annoying stuff, fixed an issue where cloud shadows would interfere with reflection rendering, improved consistency between tessellated and non-tessellated terrains, improved performance when leaving planets. Again, as I've said, leaving and entering planets is pretty annoying right now, various memory savings, improving overall stability, of course something that is always needed, and other various performance optimizations. Again, if you know me, even if you have a high-end system, performance optimizations for No Man's Sky are always welcomed because it runs pretty poorly. Another one that I'm pretty sure even affects the main storyline is the one that prevented players from going through black holes. Well, that one is also getting fixed, so you shouldn't have any problem with it anymore. Fixed an issue where players were able to warp and get stuck to the other side of a portal. This literally never happened to me and it's the first time I ever hear of it, but you know, I'm glad it gets fixed. Another one fixes an issue where players were able to enter their freighter base when it was not loaded in memory. Fixed an issue where players could start their game in an inappropriate system when starting in multiplayer. A big letdown in my opinion is the one that fixes that little bug that caused many sentinel drones to spawn upon attacking one. I think this was one of the most hilarious bugs out there. With this you were able to create a pretty awesome scene. Of course your frame rates would drop insanely fast and you would get killed in seconds, but nonetheless it was probably the best bug I've seen so far in any video game. But yeah, it's pretty much done now, not a feature, just a bug. A big one for people with legacy saves, especially for me, is the one that fixes the issue that prevented us from fully upgrading the exosuit. And this is something that you know I already had a problem with. I couldn't pass the 25 cargo slot and that was something really annoying. Also I couldn't pass like the 15 tech slot, I think that was the maximum, not really sure, or 12, something along those lines. But now it's finally available to me as well and I can resume upgrading my inventory. So yeah, if you also fall into the same situation as I am, then rejoice, as this is something that is finally getting fixed. Fixed an issue where freighter crew would change race on warp. A lot of you have been complaining about this, but from what I could gather, this only affected people who got a freighter after the next update went live. For people who got a freighter, like for example in Atlas Rises and went with it in this update, then you probably have the issue like I have, and there are like huge NPCs in your bases and especially on your freighter. I didn't see this being fixed in this patch, so hopefully at some point it will come, but at the very least one of the freighter or base related bugs gets fixed, so I'm happy. Fixed an issue where player ships could spawn on the same landing pad in multiplayer. Fixed a number of cases where freighter battles were not correctly synced in multiplayer. Fixed an issue where players were not able to land on other players' freighters. Fixed a number of issues affecting the interaction with captains on freighters not owned by the player. Another one fixes the issue that caused expedition length, difficulty and rewards to scale incorrectly relatively to the power of the player's fleet, and I'm pretty sure that this means there's a slight nerf because I tested it out a little bit and my fleets would bring a lot of stuff back. So if you have like a full max rank fleet, what does this even mean? Is it a nerf? Is it a buff? I think it's pretty much a nerf because, at least in my case, I could make a ton of money and get a lot of resources from my very own fleets. Fixed an issue that caused players to exit their ship's exocraft while tagging a marker. Again, a problem that a lot of people complained about, and I didn't know that this was an issue or a bug. I'm pretty sure that this was the result of an intended feature. Like, we have two possible actions or interactions on the same button, so yeah, didn't know that this was an issue, and I'm not sure what this means, but I'll have to test it in game. Another one that was pretty big and I think it's mostly useful in multiplayer is the one that fixes the issue that caused player ships to have incorrect information when viewed through the analyze visor. From what I've gathered and from what I've seen when interacting with other players in multiplayer, you could have like a 20 slot ship, and if other people scanned it, they would see it as a 48 slot for some reason. I'm pretty sure this is the very bug that this is addressing. And of course we also have various other fixes as well. I'm not going to go over all of them. I also skipped a few of them in like the previous section, but nonetheless these are most of the important ones. And if you want to go ahead and read all of the patch notes, then you're gonna have a link in the description box and you can do all of the reading that you want. Nonetheless, this should definitely be one of the more important patches, especially for me, because now I can finally do my damn inventory properly. But this is all the time that we have for today, ladies and gents. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, then leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you didn't already, and I will see you guys in the next one.